Hi, I'm Bran, and I love The Way Home.
Hi, I'm Ryan. I'm pretty sure I still like The Way Home.
I'm Dan, and I Way Home opinion, and this is the Deck the Hallmark podcast.
Deck the Hallmark, it's his podcast.
Brandon and friends host this podcast.
We hope you like this jolly podcast.
Well, greetings and salutations, everybody.
Oh, boy.
We're back.
Zetus Lapidus.
Zetus Lapidus. You said it, buddy. You said it.
Xenon fan in the house, huh?
That's
You
all
see
right.
how I know those references now?
I'm so proud of you.
Right?
I'm so proud of you. You woke up this morning and you said,
Am I going to talk?
I'm going to skate
I'm
today.
probably going to talk.
I'm going to skate. Today you're skating,
I got
baby.
Xenon ahead of Brink, Rye, for what it's worth.
Oh, no, I was listening last night after I got home from work.
Oh, you were listening to Decom Descendants, the podcast that's taking over the world?
And Decom Descendants on the socials. Interesting.
Yeah, there's a website also.
Decompodcast.com. Nailed it.
Brand, I'm really proud of you. I don't know who that guy was that had Brink at number 2, but I like the guy who has Brink at number 1.
No, and that's more than fair.
What a weird time to be alive when he switched it. I couldn't believe it. It was 2 weeks in.
Thankfully, I listened to back-to-back, so for me, it was about 40 minutes of
being disappointed in me.
Although, I will say this. Every time I mention the movie Luck of the Irish, Brand needs a separate room. So I don't know how it's going to...
Not one of my favorites.
I don't know how it's going to not top
You like
Brand.
Luck of the Irish?
It's okay. It's not one of my
There it
favorites.
is.
I like it. It's a perfectly fine film. It's no Smart
Well,
House.
Here's Smart House. That's what we're getting there soon, right?
Well, I think the thing about Luck of the Irish...
You're going to like Smart House.
The thing about Luck of the Irish is this land is your land. This land is my land.
Oh my god.
You know what I mean? That's kind of...
It's the American dream.
It's the American dream. That's exactly right.
That's right.
If Luck of the Irish, sneaky patriotic film. It's a sneaky 4th of July film. You don't
Luck
see it
of the
coming.
Irish is a sneaky patriotic film.
It's not
think
even
it's
all. It's honestly not even all that sneaky. Pretty big part of the movie, actually. All right. We're talking about The Way Home today. A big episode because we had a week off and we're back and all that stuff.
Why is it a big episode?
I wrote a very long synopsis for this. I don't know if it's because I watched it by myself and I'm just better that way. This is a long synopsis.
Which is weird because I would say for the majority of the runtime, there are less plate spinning in this one than there have been all season. So
let's just find out.
It's a fascinating thing we're about to...
The Way Home.
Yeah?
Wake me up.
Go ahead, Rye.
Oh, no, I was just going to say real quick, because I don't know if we'll come back to it. I loved doing the theories with y'all last
That was
week.
very
I thought
fun.
that was super fun, and we should do it again.
We got to do it again. I would say after the finale, we got to come back and do the theories again. I think that's a fun bit.
And then we got to figure out what we're doing after that. What's the next fast?
What's the next Fast Five?
Right.
Fast Friday.
Because When Calls the Heart is back
is it-
after this.
Vroom.
Is it
Vroom,
is it
vroom.
Force Friday? Is it
Force.
I mean, we could see episode 1 together in theaters this coming May.
Oh,
Well, they're putting it back out, huh?
Oh, yeah. You know I love a good
25 years,
re-release.
baby.
25 years of Darth
It's been
Maul.
25 years?
Hey, the Darth Maul scene is a really quality. That fight scene
I love Darth
with
Maul.
Duel of the Fates is phenomenal. The rest of that movie.
I was terrified
Imagine
of Darth Maul.
15-year-old me, Ryan, going to the theater for that movie, being so excited.
Darth Maul, double-sided lightsaber. Are you kidding me? It was awesome.
Yeah, and yes, two lightsabers for the price of one.
That's
there.
exactly right.
And I remember leaving the theater going, no, it was good. It was good. Like, it was really good.
Yeah, I was going to say, were you one of the people talking yourself into it for those first couple
I
days?
mean, come on.
Yeah.
Like, I watched the originals growing up, and like on VHS, this is my first, and like, I'm like, it was good. No, I was going to do the pod racing scene. It was freaking, and then I went to see it again, and I was like, I mean, you know,
Midichlorians, yeah, you know.
And
yeah,
now
like
it is that and Rise of Skywalker are by far and away the two worst movies in that franchise. And then Attack of the Clones is third worst, in my opinion.
If we did this, I've never rewatched Rise of Skywalker. I
Oh,
remember
me
thinking
either.
it was
One time and done.
Yeah.
One and done on that movie.
Yeah.
Never again.
Only saw it in the theater.
Do you have a care in the world here?
I don't have a care in the world.
Oh, that's why we need to do this.
Yeah.
That might be a good hook.
I have.
Yeah.
I've seen them all, and I enjoy them. I don't care though.
Well, I would say
How dare you.
to that point though, I'm also a casual
Yeah,
Star
But,
Wars.
I
no,
never
but I'm
got
not a
into-
monster. When I went back to the theaters and it came back and the song hits, I get
Yeah.
goosebumps. I
Yeah.
get goosebumps just like everybody else. I'm only human, but I have not thought about it.
I don't. I grew up. I mean, I was allowed to watch so little, but for some reason, 8-year-old Dan could watch all the Star Wars films on VHS tape. Like that was the thing that we could watch. And I mean, I had I never got into the world. I never collected cards or like enjoyed the expanded universe. But
You're not watching the cartoons.
No, never.
Yeah.
But I loved the original three. Like I adored the original 3 movies. And so I think that was enough to get me like really invested in the prequels. And then I was 15 when the first one, 15 and then 18, I think, and then 21 or so when the third one came out. So and those 3 were just a big fat disappointment. By and large, there's a little bit of, but I think that's what makes it fun. None of us are big, can't tell you the topography of Naboo versus Jakku or whatever.
No,
you know what I mean?
No. But I do think the
we're
one
heading
nice
on
thing,
down to Skibo for a little bit to pick up a couple of cartridges of ham scram.
we do need the ham scram.
We need the ham scram.
We definitely need the ham scram.
I do think Force Friday obviously makes a ton of sense, and then we could also go vroom vroom to you. And that's nice.
Vroom, vroom. Yeah,
that's not bad.
Whoa,
that's not bad.
I don't know how you put that on a shirt, but vroom vroom is so good. Vroom vroom to you.
My.
Yes.
I like the little motion you're doing.
Yeah.
I got
his lightsaber fists.
Yeah.
He is.
No, I had the Darth Maul one. I had the Darth Maul one.
You think he does this and cuts himself wide open on the back end?
It's just like a little.
Dan and I can only do it with one arm, but you can do it with both.
Exactly right.
Because
well, home to you. It's time for.
That sounded a little sad.
It did.
Yeah. Home to you.
Home.
Oh, no.
Home. Wake me up when September ends. Everyone's favorite 5 for Fighting song. Can you imagine if they sang that song? It'd be awesome. Thank you. February 18th, 2024 is when it premiered, and it went a little something like this. So after Elliot's warning from the end of last episode, Alice, for our understanding, immediately travels back in time, except Jacob and Colton are there, and you're like, well, this is weird. Jacob tells Alice that he's drowning, and then they all say, we're waiting for you. It's a dream, everybody. It's a dream. She wakes up, and her dad is there randomly, and we see that she fell asleep while reading The Looking Glass, so clearly it's going well for her. They go downstairs for breakfast, and he tells them that, hey, we're going to have a great day. We could go to the movies together, and Alice is like, would love to, except can't. I already got plans, Daddy-O. Thanks for coming all this way. Because she keeps seeing Jacob's face and keeps hearing him say, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? She takes that to mean I need to time travel ASAP. And Elliot sees her walking towards the pond. He's very bothered. What are you doing? She travels back and finds out that it's October 2001, so a bit of a time jump here. And Elliot shows her that Canada has joined the war on terror. This is going to be a 9/11 centered episode here. Present day Kat sees Danny for the first time since that one episode last year. And Danny, as we all remember, was Jacob's friend. She asks him about the pictures that she found, and he's like, yeah, that's Jake's pond. He always wanted to play there. He loved the ghost stories about the White Witch and all that stuff. And she's like, boy, didn't know my brother at all. Back in 2001, she sees Elliot and tells Elliot, hey, you as an adult said that nothing is going to be the same with the people that you know. And he's like, yeah, 9/11, it changed everything. And she's like, oh, I thought it kind of meant something personal. And he's like, it is personal. He tells Alice that it's kind of random that the pond brought you back to today because Kat is actually here today very randomly. He's not here for a holiday or anything. It's very random. But when she sees Kat is already driving away, so she's sad she missed her. Present day Kat and Brady bump into... present day Kat. Sorry, I got it. Kat and Brady bump into Elliot, and they have an awkward conversation, and Elliot, she's like, hey, I want to tell you something, but I think it would be crossing boundaries, so I'm not going to tell you. So, of course, Elliot shows up later and is like, hey, I do want to know the thing that you want to tell me. She shows him the pictures of the pond, and he's like, oh, these are interesting. But maybe Jacob hid these just because he didn't want to get in trouble. You know, playing by the pond wasn't something that they were supposed to do. Alice begins to open up about how it's weird that Jacob isn't a part of any of the town's history books. He doesn't even get credit for the lighthouse. Thank you. What
took us long enough.
What if something really bad happened to him and then he's been wiped from the history books? And they're always trying to change history. You know what I mean?
I know, right? The history books.
Brady tries to convince Dell to let her see the land lease because of the hottie guy that wants to change. Whatever. It doesn't really matter, but it's a part of this episode. Alice is back, and they all sit down for dinner. Brady begins to tell the story about how he proposed, and he basically invented the flash mob. You remember the flash mob?
Yeah. Sick brag.
Spoiler alert, what he does is not a flash mob. We'll see that in a little bit. He's happy to show pictures, but the photographer flaked, didn't take the pictures, so there's nothing I could do. I don't have any pictures. She asks when this happened, and they say, well, it was around the fall of 2001. So Alice immediately pond dives again. Kat is on the couch, and her mom
Diving in.
That's exactly right.
Deep,
are watching the 9/11 benefit concert again. Brady, not again, for the first time. They watch it on a
you
loop.
Want to put this thing on again?
We love it. Brady asked to talk to Dell and asked if he can propose. Obviously, hearing this freaks Elliot out, and he runs out before anyone can see that that he's there with Alice. And he's all crying and stuff, and Alice is like, "Oh, you love my mom now?" And he's like, "Yeah, I love her now." And he's like, "This is obviously way worse for if I don't know the future. Just tell me everything. Do I ever have a future with Kat?" And she just says, "Knowing you two, you'll be just fine." Which, if I was him, I'd be like, not helpful. Present day Elliot and Kat are sitting on the couch, and he's like, one of my family members was a big boat boy. I could check his manifest and see if there's anything in there about Jacob. She then shows Elliot the painting, the big painting of her from way back then, and Elliot is like, take this from someone who wishes that he had all the answers. You're so close to having the answers. You need to find out what happened to Jacob. So she immediately travels back, hears gunshots. Gunshot. She hides behind a tree, and she hears some people talking. This dude, Cyrus Goodwin, tells this other dude that he thinks somebody has been stealing from his boats. Just as they're getting into that, Susanna comes from behind Kat, puts her hand over her mouth, takes her to her place. Kat asks how it's possible that the gunshot wound that she had is now gone. And Susanna says, "I'm a healer." Kat asks no follow-ups. Kat says that, hey, I really want to trust you, and so I'm going to tell you something big. I am a time traveler. Susanna immediately believes her. Healers believe jumpers. We all know that. Kat tells her that she finds it weird that Jacob isn't in any of the history books, and she says, well, yeah, because Cyrus Goodwin, he runs the town. She heads back and walks by Elliot's house, of course, tells her that she's feeling better now that she knows that she can trust Susanna. Can she? Can she, though? Let's find out. Brady tries to shake down the hot new neighbor to follow the lease. Turns out he's also a lawyer, and it doesn't go well. But he says, you know what? I'm gonna abide by the lease. They have a little hot, flirty fun time after that. Not him and Brady. Dell and hot neighbor. Kat make it back to 2001 to see the proposal. And Brady should be ashamed with this proposal. Elliot is there to take pictures and proceeds to take no pictures as advertised. Kat is very much not in this proposal, and she says, no thank you, sir. It's too much. She says sorry, she leaves, and Kat was watching through the window, and Nick sees her. So they walk. He shows her his boat, not an innuendo, but I'm sure Nick was wishing that it was. They hear Brady and Kat talking, so they crouch down to listen. Kat asks why he brought her back here to do this. He's like, it's your home. And she's like, it's not home without Jacob and my dad, and you're my home, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, she ends up being like, well, you want to get married? And he's like, duh, gives her the ring, and Elliot walks off heartbroken. Nick is like, poor Elliot, love of his life. That's not an easy loss. And then just stares at her. It's tough to lose your first love. And she says, I will kiss you now and leave you also now. And he's like, are you going to say, am I going to ever see you again? And she's like, maybe someday you will. She's not lying. She gets home, goes to talk to Elliot, and tells him what she saw. And he's like, well, now you can have this picture. And it's the picture of the proposal, and Alice and Jake are in the background. So he's been just saving that for today. Alice goes to the cafe open mic. Brady gives her the proposal ring that he gave to Kat when they got engaged. And he's like, you can have this now because you're our love story. It's very sweet. She asks her mom if she's sure that she never saw her again after that night back then. And she's like, why are you asking this? And it's time to sing. She sings 5 for Fighting. Wake me up when September is. Kat asks Elliot. Kat asked Elliot if she keeps going back. He nods. She asks if she's going to see ... He nods. She says she's going to hate me. And Elliot says, knowing you two, you're going to be just fine. And that, my friends, was The Way Home, Season 2, Episode 4. Wake me up when September ends.
Wow.
I'm 95 for a moment.
September's ending.
I just don't know why
any
you're going to
day.
name the episode Wake
done
Me
it
Up When
several-
September
it's-
Ends when all we get this entire episode is 5 for Fighting.
It's not the first time they've done this.
It's all 5 for Fighting all the time.
They do this all the time with songs. They had a Dave Matthews, the space between, and
The
then instead
space between.
they played
Space
Sister
between.
Hazel. Like they do. It's a thing that they're doing.
Well, okay. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back. Maybe we'll get some Green Day on the way on the other side of the break.
You
I don't
think
know.
so?
I don't know.
There's no way to really tell.
We'll find
Are
out.
they here?
Here on Deck the
Back
Hallmark.
to Hallmark.
Dookie. Someone said Dookie.
Yeah, that's an album.
their
That's
best-
a Green Day
their
album.
best album.
Yeah, I think most people. American Idiot is actually start to finish probably. I'd maybe in
You
the
are a sellout.
minority because I'm a
I don't
sellout.
think. No, I don't think you're in the.
But American Idiot is a phenomenal album, like start to. I mean, Wake Me Up When September Ends, Boulevard of Broken Dreams, American Idiot. The list goes on and on. I mean, just great.
A
great album.
holiday.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're into that type of like woke punk rock, then
That's
yeah.
right. That's right.
Let's talk about The Way Home. Wake Me Up When September Ends. Season 2, Episode 4. We're going to start with the hot take as we're share exactly how we felt about this episode. Ryan, what'd you
Oh,
think?
wow. Okay, cool. I'll go first.
You always go
Are you
first.
are you guys?
Was this news?
No. Are you guys familiar with the television program Heroes?
Yes.
You guys know Heroes?
Well, here's
The
the thing.
cheerleaders save
That's
the world.
exactly right.
Yes.
I have heard about this thing. If you saved a cheerleader, you're going to save the world.
Turns
out,
out,
Save the world.
not so true.
not true at all. In fact,
Wasn't exactly how
but
that
it was
one
a
worked out. So,
great slogan.
Tagline. Yes.
yeah. Oh, a cool T-shirt. They had
Season
it all,
1
right?
ruled,
So.
man.
Yeah.
So season one rules.
Yes.
And then here's what happened with Heroes for those unacquainted.
Here we go.
Season 2, nothing happened, right? It was just a slog, uninteresting, too many new characters. Season 3, they were like, we have to course correct. We're going to haphazardly do every storyline ever. We just want people to go on message boards and say, in all caps, Heroes is back, even though none of it made any sense. My fear right now is that The Way Home has fused season 2 and season 3 of Heroes together. It's a combination of things that I don't find overwhelmingly interesting happening for half of an episode. And then the other half of the episode, they're trying to course correct and saying, we have to do all of these things. We want people to know that we still have our groove, right? Because like for me, a B story after a week off and then an episode we didn't like, where all we're doing is having Del and Brady talk to lawyers and stuff. Like, this is not what I'm looking for on a B plot after an episode. Like, I mean, it was really just uninteresting television. And then, like, ultimately, I also had a big problem with the fact that this episode very much felt out of place. Not that I need a direct follow-up to Alice being the worst waitress we've ever seen, but that wasn't referenced at all. We didn't see the new intern at the archives until like the last 30 seconds, and it's just a quick subtle nod during 5 for Fighting. Everything felt very disjointed, and even the Elliot villain origin stuff that we all love and are I might be more directly attached to this than anything in my life, quite frankly. It all felt a little redundant, right? It just felt like we've done it before, and I'll have more on that in the sink or swim. Ultimately, not a great episode, but save the cheerleader, save Dell's farm, save the world.
I got to be honest, right? And this is not part of my hot take. You comparing this to Heroes makes me so sad because Heroes is such a terrible television program that had a great first season.
Great first season.
And any apologist of anything after season 1 of Heroes, I immediately have to just take a deep breath because I'm like, you're trying like I was with the Phantom Menace. It is awful television after season 1. And this right now, The Way Home, as it sits, if they were never to make another episode, is better than Heroes because of what happened to Heroes. And I totally agree. And I remember appointment television that was season 1. I remember being just in awe on my couch, but they ruined it. They just face planted that thing. And so I don't want it. I want them to be better than Heroes so bad, and it's making me sad to think that they might not be.
I hope I'm dead wrong. I hope I'm dead wrong, Brand. Sorry, go ahead. I hope I'm
like
dead
just
wrong.
thinking about Heroes. I think Heroes was kind of what made me fall in love with TV. Like that show. It came out at a monumental time in my life where it was like
you were still 14.
Yeah. It was huge.
6, yeah.
And I'm just watching this. I'm like, this.
We had already all done Lost, so for us it was like, what's the next Lost?
I was too young for Lost when it first started.
Lost was that. Yeah. Lost was like, this is prestige TV meets popcorn
I have
TV.
since watched Lost, and I
Lost is
I love Lost.
Phenomenal,
unbelievable.
The bidding war for Kristen Bell for Lost and Heroes, that's a podcast in and of itself. They wanted her to be Charlotte whatever from, I think there was a bidding war for Lost and Heroes for Kristen Bell's services post Veronica Mars.
Wow.
And
love Veronica Mars.
Yeah. That's a solid show.
I like this episode fine. I understand what Ryan is saying. This episode didn't bother me quite as much. My big concern, and maybe I should save it for Sink or Swim, but my big concern is that we're gonna get to episode 6, where we had that big episode last year, and we're gonna go into that episode having all of the elements we need to have another gripping episode, and it's just going to continue this kind of trajectory of we're still setting stuff up. We're still it just feels like every episode is setting up for the next one, and then the next episode comes, and you're just like, we need to get to the thing that
let's go.
that Alice is so concerned. That Kat is so concerned that Alice is going to see, that we keep hearing the things in the head. We just need to get to that thing. We need to get to whatever the heck Dell is going to do this season with this guy and with the dirt and with the whore. We need to get to the thing. And I feel like every episode has been setting up, and we're trying to do things. And my big concern is that we're going to get to the end of the season, and we're still going to be setting up. And because it just keeps happening. You're just kind of like, how can they possibly have another episode of setup? And here we are again. We've done it again. And we did it again. So that is my concern. I do still have trust in these showrunners that they're going to figure this out. I think the elements that they have that they're setting up are interesting enough, not at quite as gripping as what they had in season 1, but I'm still intrigued. But I need an episode where actual stuff happens, and I'm concerned that we're not going to get that next week or the week after, and that's where I'm at right now. Dano?
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack here, and it's not plot. It's just that, first of all, the folks that have made The Way Home have made the best thing Hallmark's ever done. And the good news about that is that Hallmark has some street cred when it comes to TV. The bad news is now we are all sitting around holding this show to a standard we've never held Hallmark to ever. And I understand that.
We're holding it to Heroes season 1.
For people listening at home who are maybe getting upset and just let me enjoy my TV show, The Way Home created this problem for us because they made stuff that we all were fully invested in. And so now we're holding it to if this was any other Hallmark show, we'd be thrilled. But instead, we've all got complaints, and I think all of them are viable, necessary to say complaints. The good side of this episode for me was I thought you got to see some of the original characters and what made them so great to begin with. I think you get a little bit more of that Alice trapped between time periods and Kat trying to be around her daughter. Here's the thing is if Kat and Alice can be in one room together in 2024 for like 2 hours, this show doesn't exist because they can just talk through all the things they're not telling each other. Right. Instead, they'll see each other and it's like, oh, did you know I went back and I said, oh, I got to go sing. I'm sorry. I got to go. If those two characters would just be in a room and hang out for a day, as mother and daughter are one to do, then this show would not exist.
To that point, if Kat looks at Elliot and says, "Is she gonna see?" and he's like, "Yep."
Yeah, that's killer.
Maybe just give Alice a heads up. Hey, daughter of mine that I love so much. If you travel back again,
you're gonna see something. That's right. Yeah.
And let me explain before you see it.
That's right.
Imagine having a gift
correct.
of knowing that my child is going to see potentially something detrimental that I was a part of. And I get to get ahead of it and explain myself.
Exactly. Yeah.
She's not going to do it, but she could.
Yeah, I think that there's so many problems like that they're starting to arise. And the reason that they're starting to come up is because they've decided instead of, the best shows on television, like the top 1% prestige television, like Sopranos, Breaking Bad, Wire, like shows like that, they take a plot and they very rarely expand it. They just keep digging deeper and they just go, okay, the character did this. What would happen? And they just keep pulling the thread until the thread's gone. And when the thread's gone, they kill a character. That is how really great shows do it. Terrible shows just throw stuff at the wall and hope you're entertained for 40 minutes. This show has aspirations of being great. And instead of just digging deeper into the psyche of Alice and Kat and Dell and Elliot and these characters around town and going, what would this do to this character? And trusting the fact that you've written good characters and that we care about more than just a time-traveling pond, I think that would do them a lot of good because you would find deeper mysteries and you would find more things to talk about. But instead, we're getting this wide net of all these characters, this mythology. They're going back on a lot of things. Like, I feel like this whole, we had it pretty clear. Alice doesn't travel back to 99 anymore. Yes, she does, and a bunch. Elliot, is he a villain? Do we care anymore? I don't know. All of this stuff seems to be
Elliot's job at this point is to lean against the post on his porch, drink his coffee, and watch people walk to the pond and do nothing about it.
And now they paint him out.
Don't do it. No, I'm just gonna.
They just paint him.
I'm so disappointed.
They just paint him out to be a guy who has loved one person all his life, but may also be a villain. But depending on what they need him to do, they just flip a light switch with that guy. It's
different character every week.
It's unbelievable. Yeah. Yep. And that kind of stuff is the stuff that could turn this into Heroes seasons 2, 3, and 4. If you will get back to delving deeper into the psychology of the characters, the every viewer wins there. And so I know that I've already seen in the chat, someone briefly said, I can't believe they brought up 9/11. I thought using that as a shift of focus in that time period was really you have some fans of this show who may be 20, 22, 23, 24 who don't remember that. And then you have me who's in college and remembering it differently than the people in the ages in this show remembering and how it Kat probably doesn't go back to town with Brady if it wasn't for 9/11. So he probably doesn't propose. The things that sets their life in motion probably don't happen that way if it wasn't for 9/11. So I appreciated that. I just feel like we don't really...
Do you think they were attempting in this episode, though, with talking about Canada getting involved with the War on Terror in the timeline in which... Alice goes back to, and then Kat goes back and we're in the War of 1812. And it's as if all of these big things that are happening are also in some way, shape, or form connected to war. And I don't know if they were trying to get that big with this, but the fact that there's two wars going on at the same time
seems to be too much to be coincidental. I did think of it, but I didn't see a connection. But you're
Yeah.
right. I think
Yeah.
that there's a pretty clear, like both time travel, like, and also it's just like the fun that I think we should be having with this show is fun that they're not having. Like, you know, Alice going back in time and staying too long, or Kat going back in time and actually doing something. Like, you know what I mean? Like just doing something.
And I do want to just break this down. It's episode 4 of a 10-episode season 2. Dell in this episode. Brady, I don't want you to get involved. Brady, can you try to get this guy to follow the lease? Guy follows the lease. Dell goes, I don't want you to follow the lease. Guy goes, okay, can you watch my horse?
I'll give you some money.
That's
Did you say horse?
That's the episode for Dell.
But
that's the
here's the
extent
thing,
of
it's
it.
brutal.
It's
brutal.
tough. And Andy McDowell is way too good for the material. The character
And the chemistry she has with Hot Neighbor is great. Like they're great together.
But
give me that show.
Yeah.
Sure. Like, you know,
the character of Brady is like they're trying to make him a more likable character who wants to spend time with his daughter and who may still have some affection for Kat. And it's, you know, I don't know how to feel about that. I don't think it's a bad character. I just think the show is trying to go, like you said, like it's getting to the point where they're like, we got to just start throwing some wing dingers out there. We got to really just start just aiming for the fences. And the way you aim for the fences is by going deeper into the characters you've already crafted. It's not by adding someone from the future or 3 different characters who could be Jacob. That's not how you do it. Just go through the history of TV. The shows that do it that way cannot sustain that. And I think this show can be better, and I want it to be better because I know that it's great at its best. And so I'm not mad way home. I'm just disappointed. Yeah.
The elements are here, though, for this season.
Correct.
Like they can still pull it together, but we got to get moving.
Yeah.
We got to get moving.
Well, I was going to say, and like we've kind of already said this, but like just to paint it as clear as can be, episode 4 in that writer's room, I can't fathom why it would have come up. You know who we need back? Brady. And we're going to give him 10 minutes of screen time with Dell on a plot line that nobody cared about for the first 3 weeks. Like, you know, that's a miss. And so now granted, the flip side of that, people could say that I'm being a hypocrite because the flip side of that is that they could use that 10 minutes to just throw more stuff at the wall that maybe we wouldn't like. And at least this is grounded from a character in season 1. We're just lost a little bit right now. And no pun on the great show, season 4.
This is, I think season 4, episode 1 is when it started to lose me a little bit. And then 5, 6 just came out swinging, and then it ended so fantastically. So there's hope. There's hope.
Absolutely.
A new hope.
Force Friday.
It's time for all the feels. We're talking about feels. Ryan?
Oh, me first? Okay. We're all gonna have the same one, right?
Right, we're gonna go with you first. If you thank you whenever you're ready. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, thanks. And Aaron, thank you. You're doing great. It's 5 for fighting, right? I mean, all of ours is going to be 5 for fighting, right?
Be 5 for fighting.
They have 4 great songs. I don't know the rest of their discography at all, but those 4 songs are incredible. I miss those credit card commercials that would play during Notre Dame games with how I'm 20, like, you know, 5 for fighting is great.
Yes.
And Sadie LaFlame Snow, who keeps doing these great covers. I checked her on Spotify. She still has nothing on Spotify. Get on, Sadie. No matter how we feel about the show, you're a talented musical artist. Make music. Thank you.
That's it. I heard doing the song at the end again.
Phenomenal.
What are we doing, Hallmark? You gotta do, like, if you're gonna do it and get it out there. I want to hear it.
She brought it down enough octaves to where it made me think I could sing the song. You know what I mean? I'm like, this is a layman's version of 100 Years by 5 for Fighting done at
listen, I've always said that sometimes you need a teenage girl to get a 5 for Fighting song to get to a male's level.
That's right.
And I feel like that's what it takes sometimes.
Yeah, I can't stand to fly. I'm not that naive, but I do know.
I can't stand to fly.
I do know that she crushed this song.
I'm not that naive.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick break. We'll come back with the Wait What and the Sink or Swim. You're on.
Thank the Hallmark. I'm only a bird.
It's time for Wait What? It is time for Wait What. Thank you, 5 for Fighting. It's where we talk about one of this episode.
We have 5 for Fighting in the studio just for the segments.
The segues.
That's right.
Can't wait for Force Fridays. They can't wait for Force Fridays.
They
Wow.
can't wait for Force Fridays.
I love that. It's amazing. Ryan, I'll let you go first this time. I know that's kind of out of left field there. What did you have for the Wait What's?
So, Dan, I agree with what you said about how they used 9/11. I didn't think that it was offensive in any way, and I thought they did it just fine. However, what I will say is I get what they were going for, but making Alice borderline oblivious to 9/11 wasn't great.
Yeah.
like I get they're going for she's young and she's focused on her problems. But it was like she would have learned about 9/11 even in Canada in school at some point.
I will say this. The reason I agree with you is because as the episode goes on, she doesn't alter her view. I think the first reaction I'm fine with because I teach sophomores in high school, and when you talk about 9/11, their eyes glaze over. Yeah. They don't have any sort of wherewithal. They're born in like 2008. Like they don't care about it like we care about it.
Those kids would absolutely be like, "Oh, you were talking about 9/11? That was it.
Yes,
with everything's going to change."
And I think that it's but it's one of these things that it's Pearl Harbor affected generations in a way that it shouldn't have. Like it took, you know what I mean? Like it takes a generation removed to really move past something like that. But I think as Alice moves on throughout the episode, it becomes more and more egregious. It becomes like, all right, you've now experienced it in 1999. You know it in 2001. Excuse me. You know it was a big deal. Like, you know this is like people came home. They got near their families. I remember driving on the interstate feeling like a doofus for being the only person driving without an American flag flying from my Isuzu Rodeo. Like, I remember it like it was yesterday being like, I got to go get an American flag stat. Like I'm literally on the interstate. I'm the only one without one. And so once she goes back and sees it and lives it, now I'm like, you get it now. Like all of us, you can go back and once you experience it, now you have the empathy. You now have the sympathy. You now have experienced it too. Like, what are you doing? Be better.
I now know though why you have that giant flag waving from the back of your truck.
Yeah,
which is I've never asked. I mean, that's
tough
your
to get
choice.
That and the gun rack on there, but if you finagle it just right,
that's exactly right. You can do both.
You know,
all things.
But the thing is I had to punt and do just a "Don't tread on me" sticker, and that was the tough part.
Yeah. Ryan, anything else?
My one other wait what was this I mean, I don't want to keep making comparisons to other shows, but like this Dell farm plot is now legit like beat for beat a ride episode. Like beat for
it is.
Beat. And like to the point where I kid you not, I genuinely thought the tough tones were gonna be at the open mic. Like it's like, and I just don't understand, Al. For episode 4 of season 2, we need 10 minutes of Brady, and you know what we really liked? Season 1 a ride. Yeah. Let's do what they were doing. Yeah. I don't get it.
The big difference, though, with this show is that there's at least other stuff going on. It's not all that.
The A plot.
It's not the A plot.
Also, since we're here, this was kind of a wait what, but I'll just go ahead and ask it because maybe, in the chat in Bramble Jam Plus, we have some very, very bright people who know the way home mythology way better than we do. The way I understand this is that there was a dude that was leasing some land from Dell that is Landry land, and they were using it to farm, and they were paying rent on it.
That's right.
They left. There's a new guy in town. I'm new in town. And basically, Dell is going to let him out of the lease, even though on paper it says he has to keep paying rent. I understand all of that. That's the way I understand it, correct?
That's how I get it.
My question is, like, it's still Landry land. Like, she's not underwater on this. So the worst thing that could happen if she doesn't have someone paying her rent is she has to find another source of income. There is no threat. She still owns the land is not going anywhere. She has to either sell some of it if she doesn't have someone leasing it, or she has to find another source of income. So this plot is worse than Ride, Ryan, because in Ride, Nancy Travis could lose the farm. Dell, there is no threat of her losing her farm. Yeah. None.
They've had this land since the 1800s.
It is not the worst thing that could happen is she could lose some of it on the edges by selling it. That is the worst case scenario for what's going on here. And so it's worse than ride.
I've got a 300-year mortgage, and I am just underwater. There's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do.
It was 2008. I took a terrible subprime. The first 2 years were at 0.9%. The next 298 years, though, they're at 33% interest, and it's ironclad. There's nothing I can do about it.
Thanks, Obama.
Out of our hands.
Oh, man.
That's it for me, Brent.
I got one,
Thanks,
and my big one here is for the first time ever, I felt bad for Brady.
Yeah.
Brady comes to town, wakes his daughter up, can't wait to eat breakfast with her, go to the movie, have a good time. She says, I already got plans. I'll see you later. Maybe a little hurt as a dad, but I get it. You know, you can't move.
Correct.
You can't just move everything around.
Yeah.
You then go out to get some coffee with your ex-wife. And you go out there and you're like, this is great. We're going to catch up. We're going to talk about what's going on. She then says, hey, do you mind scramming so I could go spend the entire day with Elliot?
Yeah.
This poor guy, he came all the way up. And so he's just stuck going, I mean, I guess I can help Dale with the least thing. This poor guy. Yeah. I've never felt bad for him before.
I'm still good as a lawyer.
No one. And then it turns out he's not. Turns out he gets owned by this guy. Just a tough day for Braid. First time I ever felt bad for the guy. Like an honest to God tough day. Imagine you're coming all the way up. You're excited to see your family.
Yeah.
They don't.
Dude,
they
one
just
more
don't
episode
care.
like this, I'm going to get on Team Cat and Brett. Katie. Team Brett.
Katie?
Brat's got to be better than Katie.
Team Brat.
Yeah, I'm going to get back. Look, dude, people are going to hate me, but I'm going to be like, I hope Elliot's a villain.
Make me crazy. Thank you.
That's nice.
Go ahead.
That's a Fly for Fighting song, right? Maybe
It
Green
is.
Day?
It
That
is.
was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Green Day.
Green
Go
Day
ahead.
wrote that one. Yes.
Go ahead, Dano.
This is another one that I'm not sure is a wait what, so please correct me in the chat if I'm wrong. Did we just start calling Jacob Jake? Did we just, or have they been throwing Jake in for the last 14 episodes?
I think there's a sporadic Jake.
I think Cat's just a name abbreviator.
Okay, but
like you would be
most
D,
of the time
Big D.
when I couldn't remember a single time, which meant it probably had happened occasionally, but everyone I feel like in this episode decides collectively we're going to say Jake instead of Jacob. And the reason I know that's not what they've done before is because we all say Jacob. And then that's it. And so, but in this episode, Kat, numerous times, Kat says Jake, almost like she's saying it to where when we find out that they've all called him Jake the whole time, it wasn't a big deal. It just felt weird to me. And maybe I'm way off base on that. And I get several that says I've been saying it on and off. So I just missed it.
That's Jake's Pond.
My two big ones. Number one, Nick. He takes
my guy.
Yeah, takes Alice out in this. He takes Alice out in this boat, and she says, "Is this your boat?" And he goes, "No, technically, I give tours on it all summer." And then you get to keep it. I'm confused. It's just a quick timeout, just a 30 here, just a quick one. What someone lent you a boat and said, do tours. I'll pay you to do the tours. I'm keeping the money. But then in the off season, you get to keep the boat.
At least bring women to it.
I just
or girls.
Either it's your boat or it isn't. But to say it's not your boat, but when it's in the off season, I get to keep the boat. That's weird. That's a weird business model, I think, for all of us.
It is for tours during the summer, and then it's for kiss sessions.
For necking.
For necking. In the off season.
Lastly, there's this dude at the coffee shop who I think lives there, but he's there, and he's kind of flirting with Alice and like, a lot of eye contact. And in this particular episode, she comes up and she's like, "Can you pay your bill? I need to leave." Now, we know that Alice is a terrible server. This is the time in the podcast where your good old buddy Dame will tell you that all of those folks are working really, really hard and you need to tip well, and I try my best to do that. Even servers that have not done their best. Maybe they had a bad day. You still throw them some money.
It's not my experience with you.
That's worse than the American flag on the truck. I got to be honest. The image painted of me today is like I could sue you for defamation.
I'm sorry I painted you as an American loving, tip giving when deserved type of person. Go ahead.
Don't worry, we'll get Brady on the line to defend you.
That's right.
Yes, Brady, who's he is an American. So
Apparently, he's got plenty of time now that his family has no desire to hang out with him.
But what I'm telling you is this: is Alice says, "I need you to pay your check because I got to leave." What that means is she has to cash out, and that means she's waiting on that tip. My man pulls out change. He counts with change coins to pay the exact number that is on his bill. This dude who's trying to hopefully win a date with Tad Hamilton, hopefully win a date with Alice, is counting change to pay his full check. That means he's not tipping her, and also he's giving her change to take the register. Just be better.
Who do you guys think that guy is?
I don't know. But
I think
better.
we got a pretty good idea, we think, of who the intern, the archive intern is. But who's the hot boy in the
I don't know.
in the cafe?
Go ahead.
What's your theory?
Well, because we see the intern a few times throughout the episode, and they are, in my opinion, trying to get to know Alice. So I think that kind of like.
So do you think they're both her kids?
Both from the future.
No, I was gonna say I think it's the intern's dad. Like I think that is Alice's future husband.
Oh.
You think?
Oh.
Okay.
That's just
Interesting.
not like solid on it, but like I had that thought.
Yeah.
Alice's. So you don't think he's a time traveler? You think he is a boy from that time, and they end up falling in love and then creating an intern baby?
Yeah, I think if the intern is a time traveler, we can't have everyone be.
I will say this. I love the fact that we have added so many people as time travelers over the course of our 14 episodes. Literally.
And we have been right 100% of the time.
Two people have traveled. They are mother and daughter, both named Landry. And we are like,
Well,
what if
Jake,
Oh,
we
my bad.
found him.
Three.
We
Excuse me,
found
three.
him.
We did
we
find
found
him.
him.
We think.
We found him.
Yeah.
And then
Dude,
clearly,
I will say
what's
this,
his name?
The darkest timeline of this show is Jake never time traveled. That is the darkest. And you know what? Props. If they finish 5 seasons of The Way Home, turns out Jake never time traveled. He just got lost in the woods and died. That is a
He
move.
just drowned in
That
the
is
pond.
a drowned?
Drowned.
God.
He just drowned.
That is a move that they're not capable of pulling off, but I'm here to watch them try to do it.
Yeah.
That we know of.
Dog
for
time
certain.
travels?
No.
Dog time
100
travels?
no, the only
Dog's last name is Landry.
The only
Dog's
two
last name is
people
Landry.
that we have 100% certainty traveled are Kat and Alice.
Well,
that is it.
and with 100% certainty, the old guy from last season. I think, what's his name? The guy,
Roy?
Roy. Clearly Roy.
Byron,
Clearly
but no.
Roy Byron is.
But we are like trying our best to make. What if the whole town is time traveling? What if they're all from 2068 and all the people in 99 are from 2024? What if everybody just thinks they're going to make money on the stock market by going back in time?
Listen.
But since everyone's done it, it changes.
No one
all
else
of it.
thinks it's weird that we haven't seen Danny in a year. Like, no one thinks that's weird. Danny
Danny's
just shows
adopted.
up.
I don't know who Danny is. I got to be honest.
Danny's the guy who's
Oh,
in the thing.
yeah, of
Jake's
course.
friend.
Yeah, just.
You think he's just been gone?
Yeah, of course.
It's time for Sink or Swim. It's where we talk about the things that are sinking, things that are swimming, and everything in between.
I think Brandon and I talked about it beforehand, and we don't have many arguments, but I think this was pretty tough, and we're trying to get over it. We're doing our best before, but I think we're going to let Ryan go first.
This time?
Yeah.
Stupid. Go ahead. All
right. Sorry, man. I love you. And thank you. So I was going to do my thing, and I'm still going to do it where I give you a line that could point to Elliot being a villain, but then I'm also going to highlight the issue that I'm beginning to have with this. So Kat's talking about the mean lady from the past, and Elliot goes, was she anything like me? And Kat, with all the foreshadowing in the world, says, well, she pulled a dagger on me, so not really. Which is like the show telling us, like, if you're really reading between the lines, like, oh, Elliot could be a villain. The problem I'm having, and Dan, I think you talked about this a little bit ago, the show has really written itself into a corner with this. So this is what's sinking me in regards to all of this, because Elliot either at this point has to be a villain, or they've just made the character so incredibly unlikable and erratic that we just don't care one way or the other. And this is at this point, and not even for the satisfaction of us being right, he has to be a villain,
Yes.
or else we've just totally lost any semblance of liking him, which is a real
Correct. And that is similar to mine.
Go
which
ahead.
is when,
I'll allow it.
When Alice is singing Five for Fighting at the end, when she says, I'm not crazy, or anything. Literally, when she says, I'm not crazy, it is Elliot looking at a picture, sipping a cup of coffee like this. It is the most, I would wager to say, the most nefarious, like, wink of the show.
Wow.
And
wow.
And also the way that they show him and how he loves, I'm putting that in quotes because what he's doing is not loving, but the way he loves Kat back in 99 and 2000, it is unsightly. That is not, it is not a pursuing like partnership. Like I really love her, but it's not an unrequited love. It is a stalkery love. Like it's
obsessive.
He is very serious and angry and mad, like mad enough to do something in the future.
You didn't hang out in your crush's treehouse long after they left town?
You
didn't go there every day?
In the first season, he's very innocent and like very much like, I really just, I have this crush on this girl, but I love that we're friends and I'm going to make that work. And in this season, he is like turning into someone you don't want to be around. And
which,
go ahead.
Sorry, Dan, but don't. If he's
that's actually Gnarls Barkley.
That's Gnarls
It's off the greatest hits. Yeah, they collab together on that one. If they're doing all of this with the intention of making the character a villain, great. That's good storytelling.
Yes, excellent.
If not, it's just a wholeheartedly unlikable, unsightly
yes,
character.
It is. If this is Elliot's origin story as a villain that knows all the timelines, I'm freaking here for it, man. Like, love it. If it's not, then blah. No
I have a sink and a swim today.
Wow,
my sink is, where the heck's Five for Fighting now? I haven't heard them in a while. Do they have new tracks? And if so, is there anybody out there that's listening to this show that also happens to be a big FFF fan, Triple F fan, that can tell me some newer Five for Fighting tracks to check out? What's good?
I think he's on his own now.
They had a single in December. Okay.
All right, I'll give it a listen.
They had a live album in 2018.
My swim involves Nearly Nude. Brian's not here today to give us the update, but she was not nearly nude in this episode. But I did have the thought. Clearly, we're 4 episodes deep at this point. No Nearly Nude yet. Lot of flirty fun time with Hot Neighbor. Is it possible that we get a double Nearly Nude and we get to see Hot Neighbor Nearly Nude? Are they nearly nude together? I don't know.
Double Nearly Nude. You're just putting that out in the universe.
I'm putting it out. I know they tried to tempt us with a single Nearly Nude.
We've never even had a single.
Can I raise you to 2?
I love
Can I get you to a double Nearly Nude?
The big talk before the show started. We've had nothing near a Nearly Nude, and you're like, they're going to do double.
They're going to do double.
This is everyone time traveling.
These two,
and now double Nearly Nude.
The schmexual tension between these two is off the charts, and I think it's possible that the Nearly Nude we get.
What are you hoping for here?
I'm hoping to see Hot Neighbor Nearly Nude.
It sounds like you want this show to move networks.
Episode 7 is going to be on HBO now.
Showtime.
It's going to be, you're going to have to, you can find it on Max the next day. Will not be on Hallmark. I'm just saying, Hot Neighbor Nearly Nude. Why not? We did, everybody. Congratulations. We'll be back next week. Episode 5. Maybe something will happen. Until then, maybe the first to wish you a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Deck the Hallmark's a Bramble Jam podcast. It's presented by Philo TV. It's produced by Brandon
Aaron
Gray.
Shea.
Recorded live in that Greenville, South Carolina. Set decor is by
Aaron Shea.
Mall. For more information on Deck the Hallmark, you can go to deckthehallmark.com. For more information on Bramble Jam Podcast Network, you can go to
BrambleJamPlus.com.
God bless.
What?